you know that it's difficult to win, at Penn State. What makes it different? What makes you think that you're going to be that guy that finally has a winning program at Penn State in basketball?
Yeah. You know what? The one thing that I'm going to start with right away is, difficult to win at Penn State is somebody else's perception. It's not mine. I'm not going to listen to other people's opinions on what we can or can't do here. I go on my own beliefs, and I believe you can win here. And, despite what has happened, we're going to do this in a good way. We're going to put together great kids, great roster. We're going to build it with depth, and we're going to play an exciting brand of basketball that is conducive to winning in the Big Ten. And having the experience of being in this league is helpful. Being in this league in one of the programs that has been one of the most consistent in the Big Ten is helpful. So taking some things from what I've learned with Coach Painter, bringing it here, but also using the experience from some of the other coaches from the other sports who are having success. And, what are you doing that makes you successful here? What are you doing that keeps you at the top or in the midst of this league? And that's what we want to do. Like, I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to find the right answers. And I'm going to keep, looking under rocks to find the right thing to make this, the most consistent and successful program that it's been in a long time here.
It's natural for everybody to question the negatives first to see how you're going to address them. The big one is this is a program that hasn't won a tournament game in almost 2 decades. Now, 2 years ago, probably would have been able to knock one off and stuff like that. How do you go about answering those tough questions when you're on the road trying to sell the program?
Yeah. And that's the fun part of it for me. Like I said, I enjoy the challenges, and, this is a place where if you're not willing to roll up your sleeves and really work for it, then it's probably not going to work for you. And, I told somebody the other day, we got to speak it into existence, and then we have to work it into existence. So, I can believe it all I want, but if I'm not working towards that, then it's not going to work. How we have to do things here, we got to invest in people. That's the most important thing. The people around Penn State are great people, and that's a huge sell for us. But also our players are the most important, people to me. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to recruit really good guys. We're going to recruit guys that care about their academics. We're going to recruit guys that care about winning. We're going to recruit guys that care about getting better as a player. And then we're going to invest all our time into those guys to make them better players. So if we don't recruit on the same level of Michigan, that's okay. But we're going to invest our time into these guys to make them as good as the guys at Michigan. And that's what we need to do. Our player development has to be at the top of the list in terms of what we do, in terms of making our guys really good players. Like, we're going to recruit really good players, but then we need to make them 5 stars. And, one thing I'm not going to do is, really take people's opinions on, what we should do and how we should fit it. Like, I know what I like, and I know what's going to work, and I know the way to put a group together, and we're going to do it. We're going to find guys that are Penn Staters, guys that love this place, but also love, like I said, getting better and developing. And that's going to turn into a good mix for who's successful here.
You mentioned, the people and being committed, and a community kind of has to be committed as well to winning. You're committed. The guys that are going to be here are going to be committed. The one thing with Penn State basketball is there's a lot of students that reside really close to that Bryce Jordan Center. And it's been an age-old battle that the students just haven't come out. The previous regime would do everything to try and get them to come out. It was a struggle. You saw that, as a visitor coming in here. Is it a chicken or the, it's kind of like a chicken or the egg argument. What's going to come first? The wins to get the students in to pack the place and make it hostile? Or is it both a give and take where the students have to show up and help you make it a hostile environment and feed your guys some energy to boost this program along?
You know what? It's in the past, you would think it was the latter, where you need the students to come in to boost your environment. And we're going to work really hard to get our students here, where we're going to be a part of this campus. You know, not myself and my staff and our team. Like, we're going to do our part where people want to come watch us play because of who we are as people. But then we have to put a good product on the floor. But I'm going to talk to our guys. And the one thing about, you know, being mentally tough, about being able to play, is about playing through any environment. And playing through a COVID season helps us. Like, the energy that we provide each other in a quiet and empty gym is, now there's no more excuses. There's no more excuses to, if somebody's, you know, if it's a snowfall and nobody can get to the game, we've played in that environment before. So we want everybody. Like, we want this place packed, but I know I got to give you a product to come out and watch, and a product that the people are going to be proud of. And that's what we're going to do. There's no doubt in my mind we're going to do that. But until they come and until they believe, like, we're going to play as hard as we can with nobody in the gym. If nobody wants to come watch us play, we're going to play the same way that we would play if there's 15,000 people in this place. And that's what Penn State basketball is going to be. That's what we're aiming to be. That's what we're striving to be. And we're going to take off. Like, this thing's going to take off. And you're probably going to get better seats if you get in on the ground floor. Because once we start taking off and the, you know, the rocket's really high up in the air, it's going to be hard to jump on board with us. Your seats might be a little higher, but that's okay. We want this to be a huge bandwagon. Everybody jump on board with us. And no matter when you decide to do it, we're going to accept you in, but the seats will be better if you get in on the ground floor with us.
Crazy time for multiple levels. You know, when you got into coaching, there was no transfer portal. And without getting into any specifics, just how different is coaching now just with the transfer portal? Is there anything that you could even kind of compare it to? I mean, from, you know, I know you said you bounced things off of Brad. Like, could Brad even, you know, comment on it, because it wasn't here when he was in college?
It is so different. It's really different. And, you know, when people always, you know, ask me about being the first time head coach, and I'm like, hey, there's a lot of things that you're prepared for. There's a lot of things that you think you're prepared for. You go to all these seminars and you listen to people talk, and they tell you to write down your 30-day plan, your 90-day plan, you know, whatever it may be. And then you sit in this chair for the first time and you're drinking, and you know, trying to take a drink out of a fire hydrant, and everything's coming at you so fast and in a hurry. And then you're looking around because there's no manual for COVID and there's no manual for the transfer portal. You know, so you just have to kind of go with it, roll with the punches. Like, things are going to happen that are out of your control. And if you stress about it, if you fret over it for a long time, like, you're missing out on the next great opportunity. So you can't, like, you don't know what's going to happen. You can't control everything. The only thing you can control is the effort that you give to your guys, how you care about them, how you show them that you care about them. And, you know, if you're giving everything you have to them, then they'll trust you. They know that you're putting forth everything that you have to make them better players, to make them better people. And, you know, maybe that slows everything. Sometimes you could do everything right and somebody still transfers. That's just out of your control. So control what you can. Control how you go about treating people, and treat people the right way. Show them that you care. Give them everything you got on a daily basis, and, you know, let the chips fall where they may be. That's how you have to go about it. And that's how I'm kind of attacking this transfer portal.
What are kids missing out on? Because it seems like when you leave places, it's one alumni base forgets about you and you never fully get ingrained into another alumni base. You don't have that gritty story of somebody who worked up and is remembered for, like, lore in a long time. Like, you're going to know Joe Crispin at Penn State. Like, you know, that's one of the guys. I'm sure Purdue has a ton of those guys that, you know, they weren't stars as freshmen or sophomores, and they just worked and had just a man, a memorable game against Ohio State. So what is a young athlete in any sport, not just basketball, football, things like that, missing out when they leave universities?
And that's, it's hard because everybody, every kid may leave or transfer for different reasons. So everybody's story isn't the same. But I think in life in general, nobody has the same story. Nobody has the same path. And you can try to emulate somebody else's path, but it may not be the right thing for you. And that's the one thing that's important for me, is to find what we can do to help guys, like how we can help you right away to put you on the right path for you to have success, specifically for you to have success here. I think, it's hard for freshmen. It's hard. It's really hard. Like, there's people that have struggled. There's people that have been All-Americans that have struggled early on. And, you got to be able to fight through some things. And that starts, I think, early on, in youth basketball, you see it, and like fight through some adversity, like fight through some challenges. And then if you've tried to fight through it and it's not the best situation, then yeah, maybe moving on is the best thing. But, I want to see kids like overcome some things and find what's best for them. And maybe like I said, everybody's path is different. So maybe you choose a school early on and you just know it's not the best thing for you. And hey, I made a wrong decision in this process. But if you really dug into it and you thought this was the best place for you and you spent a lot of time preparing for that, like try and fight through that adversity. Like see if you can overcome something, like build yourself up, like outwork people the next year and see if you have that success. And then now you start getting some of those success stories that we've talked about. But that adversity hits even when you're young, even as young kids, even as, parents. I'm the parents of young kids, and, my son was upset the other day because he didn't get to play a whole lot in his game, and he usually does. But, I told my wife, I said, it doesn't matter. Like right now, like he needs to know that this needs to drive him and fuel him to be better the next opportunity that he gets, instead of me calling the coach or me telling, him that, all right, we'll find you a better situation. Now fight for that situation, compete for that situation, and, see if you can work it out and turn it around in a different way.
It seems like the transfer portal, and again, knowing that everybody's situation is different, but it just created an easier way out. And you mentioned fighting through things. So the question was, is it kind of is the fighting spirit in athletes today the same as it was? Like this viewer, like, is an alumni from like 2004. Is the fight still there in athletes at the college level to be able to fight through those things? Or have you seen a change, being that you're closer to college athletes than I have, that mentally it's not that same grit, even, that's what, 15 years ago? Has it changed that much?
Yeah. You know what? I think it's still there. I think it's still there. I think guys have it in them. But we as adults need to continue to foster that. We need to continue to nurture that and help guys through difficult situation. And, whatever we can do to help them throughout these situations and talking them through it, especially early on. But I think that fight is there. I think the greatest players, coaching in the NBA for 6 years, all of those guys have kind of an edge, have kind of a chip on their shoulder, I've been counted out kind of mentality. And that's what the best of the best have. So when guys in college are thinking about what it takes to get to that next level, that mental edge, that mental fighting through adversity is a huge part of it. It's a big part of it. There's a lot of staggering numbers, and, I can't throw them all out to you right now, but the amount of guys that have been drafted in the NBA draft who have transferred is a pretty low number. So like just knowing that right away, because, some of those guys have that kind of edge already to them. So, like I said, I'm a parent of 4. and it's a constant battle for me to try and learn and get better and grow to help our kids through situations and, help them grow through different situations and learn through different situations, even as we're trying to do the same things.
John and Seth coming back. How big is that? Just being that it's your first year coming in here to get guys that know the program, and that's also two less spots that have to be filled with guys that are capable of playing in the Big Ten.
I think having those two guys back because of their experience, but because of their love for this school. They both love this school and they both love this program, and being able to have them back is important for our locker room, for the culture in our locker room. And I'm excited. Like, I was as excited as anybody that they came back. But at the end of the day, I don't want to overlook a Miles Dredd. I don't want to overlook a Sam Sessoms, some of the young guys like Dalian Johnson, Abdu, Caleb Dorsey, DJ Gordon, guys that have been committed from the start to stay and be a part of this. Like, I want to celebrate those guys just as much as the guys that decided to come back. So it's big for me to kind of get behind those guys because they kind of put blind trust in me. And, I want to reward them the best way possible by allowing them to have a great experience while they're here, and doing that in a lot of different ways. And giving everything that I have to them, my staff, all of our attention is on those guys first and foremost, before we even worry about the rest of the roster, because, they're the most important guys in this program. And, their commitment to me really solidified everything. So, I'm thrilled. I was over the moon that we got John and Seth back because of how good of players they are, how good of people they are. But they're joining those other guys and giving us a really good core to build off of right away.
What's the schedule going to look like in your vision? Preseason tournaments, invitationals. Are you going to look to do some trips over to Europe with the guys for some camps and things like that? Or what do you envision on that side?
We're trying to balance our schedule right now, and finish it up. We'll have an announcement once we get all of our non-conference games through. But yeah, we're going to try and have as much exposure as possible. I think that's huge for us to get on TV, be on TV, have our name out there. As many ways that we can do it, we're going to do it. And scheduling, top-notch people, getting good non-conference opponents to come here, going and playing good non-conference opponents, going and playing in those Thanksgiving or Christmas kind of tournaments that create a buzz for our program, going to places, around Thanksgiving time that our fans want to travel to. Like, that's a big part of it. Like, that's how you get everybody engaged. So we're going to look to do that at each and every opportunity with our schedule. We have some contracts that are out right now, so it's not completely finished, but we're excited about, who we're going to bring here, how we're going to prepare ourselves for the Big Ten season. And, we're going to start to get it balanced in the right way here in the next couple of years, so we can take more of an advantage of maybe playing in some neutral site events, playing in some high profile, holiday tournaments as well. So we can take our Penn State basketball brand and, kind of showcase it to a lot of different people.
Last question I got, unless you want me to ask you anything else. Does it add pressure to you that, your first couple weeks here, everybody is pretty much saying that you're knocking it out of the park?
I don't think there's any pressure. I mean, not more than I put on myself. And, the one thing is I don't put a whole lot of pressure on myself. I'm just enjoying being here. And, I have a great staff. I hired an unbelievable staff. And, if people are saying I'm knocking it out of the park, they should be saying they're knocking it out of the park, because those guys are working. There's I got 3 guys, in my assistant coaches, and Adam Fisher, Rocky Collins, Mike Fairley. Those guys have hit the ground running. And, even during their transition period, as you know, they're trying to get their family situation settled. They're moving here. They're learning a new job. They're closing things down at their old job. Whatever they're doing, they must not be sleeping at night, because they're bringing a lot of good guys to the table. We're spending a lot of time on Zoom, and we're getting some good players to get interested in Penn State. And all credit goes to those three for what they're doing. And then, you know, Taylor Battle, Nick Colella behind the scenes and what they're doing. Like, we got a great staff of guys. And that's, you know, that's what I'm most proud of, is that group, because I was able to land some top-notch guys that are going to make this place special, that are going to bring in, continue to help us get players that are, you know, going to make this program go to a different level.